So decades later, and dozens of projects he didn't follow through on later, Guillermo del Toro remade Nightmare Alley. Alright, I'm going to jump in immediately to what it is I wanted to talk about with the first Nightmare Alley. So, the character, played by Cate Blanchett, Lilith, thank you. There is some genius in the writing of her reveal. In the original Nightmare Alley, she is keeping herself masked and revealing what she has done in cheating the lead, Stan, out of money. Plain and simple. Guillermo del Toro brought something back into the story that is a lot more sinister and turned your typical parlor reveal of the enemy scene into a sort of sickening feeling drop. I don't know if it's Cate Blanchett's performance or if it's Guillermo del Toro, but when she comes at him and you click together the pieces of her scar, her potential relationship with Richard Jenkins' character, and what she knows about his past, and the way that she's drawn to Stanton's power play, and the way that she sort of plays off of that, she's chilling. Guillermo del Toro was originally talking to Leonardo DiCaprio, which I feel like everyone is at one point talking to Leonardo DiCaprio, but hey. He came back to this story, this non-traditional noir story that really digs into the elements, the grit of that backwards, flawed sort of protagonist that isn't one step ahead of the game all the time and doesn't always win. From the moment the movie opens, it's like watching this back to back. You're like, okay, you've seen the movie that was able to be made in the time it was able to be made. Now we're going to drag a dead body into a pit and a floor and set it on fire. And I was like, okay, yeah, all right. All of these things have these sort of modern freedoms that the past did not. The sex, the violence, the moral gray areas. Despite the fact that you're almost watching beat for beat the same story, it's like it's been refreshed with the elements that people behind the scenes talk about from the original that were removed, ending on the exact button that the original could not end on. I did not get to see this in theaters, and it was a bummer, because I want to support whatever Guillermo del Toro does. I'm actually looking at a little pop vinyl of him, and his pop vinyl number is 666, so I normally wouldn't bring that up, but what? I watched this streaming with a close friend and my wife. I think they had questions. I think my wife really liked it. I think people walked away with it with a sort of a not sure how to feel about it sense of things. But when I realized that we were going to skip the villain revealing anything entirely, and we were just going to sit with the consequences on the character who thought of himself as a hero and just watch him fall. The end. It's not like anything else. Cate Blanchett puts the button on this movie, and it's already star-studded. Every performance in this is spot on. I feel like there was talent drawn to this because of Guillermo del Toro's name, and then the talent drawn to it gave Guillermo del Toro the resources he needed to make the movie he wanted to make. But whatever happened, these elaborate, iconic sets are littered all over the movie. Still extravagant production design, and it's not like anything else for so many other ways. There is something that they spoke of that the lady name spoke of last time, which is that the typical trappings of a city are replaced with your southern sort of period appropriate settings, the more desolate, deserted areas of things. And I think the character leaning into having that southern roots kind of gives him more of a sense that he is crawling literally out of the woodwork into civilization to try and pull himself up by his bootstraps. I use that phrasing specifically because it's that thing that makes him feel fated to fall on his face. This rise and fall, it doesn't even totally feel tragic. I don't even think you know who to root for. I think you're rooting for the movie to just get harder. Something that sort of pads the runtime in this that I think is significant is the scenes of therapy being used to develop the relationship between Bradley Cooper and Cate Blanchett's characters. The power struggle that they have that is written and performed so perfectly, it looks like it disappears at a certain point. I mean, you sort of know it doesn't, but that's sort of cheating. It's like meta watching a movie. You know, because you know movies, what's going to happen. But the characters are performing well enough to sort of realistically be excited by the both of them pulling off some sort of con together, that it's easy to understand why this one character misses the intent of Cate Blanchett's character. And when the ball finally drops, they've done so much work with her knowing him that same monologue where she's sort of revealing things about herself but really taking personal hits at Bradley Cooper, these things hit harder. And when he runs and he's smearing blood on the walls, it's all just sort of just a ramped up modern day, everything to an extreme version of the original. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who argues, oh, this movie just tries to sensationalize something that was already a classic and shouldn't have been touched. I think there's plenty of room for both of these to exist. Nightmare Alley is like, I want that black and white version they talked about so bad, because one of the coolest things about this is actually the way that the movie is filmed, even just on camera, telegraphs the same thing that's going on behind the scenes, which is you're typically in your 4:3, square aspect ratio. And when you go to Nightmare Alley, they went for full 1.85:1. Not, this, where there's black bars above and below my arm. They widened that image and pull you deeper into the things that are happening in a similar way that they had the opportunity to do with the writing, the adaptation of the book, and everything like that. I know this movie isn't great for everybody, and so any comments that anybody has, I have a couple of people, you guys, it's amazing. I even have a couple of you out there who care what I have to say and are following me, and I really appreciate your just listening, and I plan on listening to you too. I want to go in and I want to watch more of the content that you all make and engage, and this is definitely it's been a nice couple of weeks. But noir may be my favorite subgenre of a movie, and when something pulls on the truth of what is so appealing about that this hard, I was going to have appreciation for it no matter what. And so I can't tell how much of it is bias, but I, just tell me, let me know.